Hello, my friends. Today we are going to draw some gingerbread houses. That is why I'm showing you pictures of gingerbread houses. So gingerbread houses are, it might be a fun research project for you if you're like really curious now, is to find out why people make gingerbread houses around like the holiday season. I don't really know. I just know that they look cool and they have a lot of details on them. And that's kind of the part of this project that I'm going to kind of focus on talking about, is adding details to your work. But before we can add details, we got to draw our house. So if you don't have your materials out yet, pause the video, get out a pencil, a paper, and then some coloring tools. And then unpause the video, and you'll be right back here. So I started by drawing my house in 1-point perspective. That just means that I started with a square and then a triangle on top to get the shape of like the front of my house. And then to make the side of my house, I take all of the like points or like places where a plane changes to like a different plane. So like where the roof meets the side of the house, there's a point. Where the roof ends, there's a point. Where the wall ends and touches the ground, there's a point. I connect all those points to a point up in the sky. 1 point up in the sky. That is why it is 1-point perspective. This is a concept we wouldn't really go too in depth into until like 3rd grade. I might talk about it or touch on it or even show you how to do it, even as early as 1st grade maybe, but I wouldn't really expect you to do it until 3rd grade. So if you're looking at me do this and you're like, nope, I ain't doing that, Miss Allen, like that looks way too hard, don't worry about it. But some of you really enjoy this type of thing. So I think it's good to show you. So then at the end, once I've connected all my lines, I just erase the lines that I didn't need. Similarly with that line where like the triangle and the square meet each other, that line wouldn't be there either. So I'm going to erase that line right now. There we go. It's gone. So now that I have my house, I can turn it into a gingerbread house. So I draw the important house things, and yours can be so different than mine. I looked at some pictures of some gingerbread houses before I started, and a lot of them had kind of a curved door to them, and I really liked that. I thought it was cute and like cottagey, I guess. And then I add a window, and I add a little kind of circular. I was going to have this be a window, but I ended up having it just be kind of like a cool little candy detail. So I'm using colored pencils for my artwork. I'm using colored pencils because they are easy to kind of layer on top of each other a little bit. So it's easy to put a color on top of this like brown that I'm putting in. If you're using markers, you might want to kind of go in a little bit of a different order, or just keep in mind that some things will be harder to layer on top of others. Like if you color your whole house brown to start with and you're using markers, it might be hard to do, say, like yellow on top. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. It's something you can kind of experiment with too. So now I get to like kind of the fun part of being able to add some details to my house. So if you are at home right now, which I assume you are, you're at least in a house, you should have your drawing out. I've sped mine up like so much, so you won't be able to work as quickly as I am. So don't try and like completely keep up with me. But if you've just been watching up until this point, this might be a good time for you to grab your piece of paper and your pencil or your crayons or your markers and get started. So you can draw a house. It can look like any kind of house you want it to look like. And then think about cool, fun, candy, or colorful, or just like wintry, holiday-ish details that you would want to add to your house. Miss Hill, shout out to Miss Hill in Miss Palmer's class. She brought in some peppermint candies. That was kind of what made me think of adding that peppermint to my house. I love those peppermint candies. Oh my goodness. I could go on a rant, but I won't. So thinking about where to add details, thinking about where to add texture. If you're having a hard time coming up with ideas, which I'll admit, there were times in this drawing that I had a really hard time coming up with ideas. I never came up with a good idea for my door, which is why I actually put in some pictures of some like gingerbread housey doors. Right? If you're having a hard time coming up with an idea for an area, move on to a different area. That's totally fine. That's what I did. I couldn't think of anything cool to do with the window or the door, so I just moved on to the ground in front of the house. And I was really happy with the things that I did there. So I made these cool candy cane like pathway markers, and then I make a cool little path that goes back kind of into space. If you notice how my path gets sort of narrower as it kind of goes behind behind where the house is, you can see it kind of gets a little bit smaller. So that's giving me the illusion of distance. That's something we've talked about in a remote lesson, and then in my in-person lesson that I did, we talked about how to create distance in artwork. And I think I was very, very happy with how everyone kind of remembered the things that I had taught you in the remote lesson. In every grade level, you guys knew ways that artists show distance, because we'd talked about it in remote learning, and you were able to remember that. So that was really nice to see. I was very happy to see that you guys were retaining or remembering things that I had mentioned in remote lessons. So that made me really happy. So I think I said before, but I'll say it again. This video is so super duper sped up. This is, I think this might be something where you could even make this become a gift for someone. So I would, don't worry about finishing it all in one sitting if you don't want to. And don't worry about finishing it as finished as mine is if you don't want to. But if you do love making this, it might be something that you work on it for 10 minutes here and there and come back to it, or work on it for 20 minutes and come back to it. If I wasn't making a video of this, that's probably what I would have done when I got stuck. When I'm trying to think of a idea for my remote lesson. Sometimes I get stuck and can't think of a good idea, and so I'll kind of put it to the side for a little bit and come back to it. So that is definitely a really good strategy, a good artistic thinking strategy, is to don't try and force a good idea. Let the good ideas come to you. Also, a good artistic thing to keep in mind is that if you hold your pencil too tightly, like I do, your hands are going to hurt, and you got to pause and stretch your hands. Don't let your hands get crampy and hurty. Mine do a lot specifically when I color, because I really hold my colored pencil really tightly. I made if you don't eat a lot of candy, which good for you if you don't eat a lot of candy, because it's not good for you, but if you don't eat a lot of candy, my little fish pond there is a Swedish fish, so that's kind of like a gummy candy, where they're these red gummy fish. They're kind of good. I think they were better when I was a kid. I don't know if that's because I liked candy like that more as a kid, or I don't know. But they're not, I had them again recently, and they weren't that great. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like gummy candy that much. So when I'm adding my details, I'm kind of looking for empty spaces, or spaces in my artwork where my eye is drawn to, and it's drawn to an empty space. So before I started to put in my marshmallow snowman, I might have thought that space looked really empty. So when you have a good idea for a detail, ooh, I want to make a snowman, but I want to make him out of marshmallows, look for where there's an empty space, and then that is the right space to put that. You don't want to clump all of your details into one little space. You want them to be kind of balanced and evenly distributed throughout your work. And just because I also thought that this was a really good idea. So if you're I don't know why you're making your clouds pink and blue, that's kind of weird. They're supposed to be cotton candy. That's fun, right? Imagine if you had a big gingerbread house, and above it you had cotton candy hanging from the ceiling it was clouds. That would be so fun. I bet someone's done that before, but it would be so fun. I feel also the cotton candy would get really yucky so fast. But that's why my clouds look like that, is because they're supposed to be cotton candy. I hope that you have fun with this project. Reminder that I would love it if you would hit submit on the form on the page that you're on right now. So you've come to my website from the email that went out from your classroom teachers. You've come to my website. You're looking at my website. You're looking at a form. There's a space if you scroll down for you to type in your name. I might ask you a question, I might not. The most important thing is your name. I might ask you, like, if you sent me a picture, if you didn't send me a picture. I'd love it if you sent me a picture. But the thing I want so much is for you to write in your name, or if there's a couple of you doing it at one time, you could write all your names in. And then hit submit, and then I'll know that you did your work. That way, because I've said this before, but it's hard sometimes when I get artwork from so many different places. Some of you send me in things, some of you send it to me on Dojo, on Seesaw, on this, on that, and it's hard for me to keep track of things. So if I try and get most people to just type in their name and hit submit, it'll be kind of all in one place for me. Okay, my friends, I really genuinely hope that you have a wonderful vacation, because this is our last class before vacation. And I hope that you have fun with your work. I'm a big believer in that you'll learn more when you are enjoying what you're doing. So I really do hope that you are enjoying art class at home. Okay, bye.